Hello, welcome to the Mighty Sawdust channel. I'm Darius. I am your host and provider here. Welcome to the page. Once again, please subscribe, like the channel. It'll help out to produce more videos. The shed is finally built, as you can see. I have gone and insulated, put some drywall up. This is as far as I got right now, as you can see. Still got, obviously, put the mud up and everything else, but I've got it to a point where it's bearable to work in, and I will continue making videos as I go through. This video, if you continue to watch, will be the process of how I went about to insulate this shed. The shed is a 10 by 15 shed. I did the walls have insulation, our rating of R13. The ceiling has the foam insulation, as you can see a little bit right over there. I went with the 1.5 inch, which is a rating of R 7.5. I had a couple more sheets left over, so I doubled it up to give me 3 inches of foam in there, which will give me a rating of R15. So once I got all that up, I can definitely feel the difference in temperature from outside to inside. It's definitely hot and muggy outside. There's some footage that I have found that has not made it. It was a little too hot for my phone, and the SD card kind of ended up going into read mode only. So I will try to do my best to kind of give you a little recap here of some stuff that shed is finally built. I'm going through right now and getting it insulated. Eventually this will be the working shed here. The workbench, as you might have seen the teaser, has been out for a little bit, and I will go through and basically build it in the shed and record the process of it. But if you want, join me for now to watch me get this insulated. The walls, I went with the R13 insulation, fiber insulation, and the ceilings I will get the styrofoam 2-inch thick and get that in the ceilings, and then I'll cover everything with drywall, get a nice clean look. I was debating whether to do the open beam look, but getting it insulated and everything else, I think the drywall will have a nice clean look. And obviously once I get it painted, it'll give it a lot more light. Right now I have no electricity right now or any power. I did get some solar lights, so I will install that later on for the, obviously working in here at night temporarily until I do get some power in here. So join me as I do some of the wall. And obviously safety first. And I'm basically 6'6", so the advantage, the ladders. So one wall is complete. I got 3 more to go. If you noticed at the end, it was getting a lot more bulked out. These were basically prefabbed walls. In the center, some were about 15-inch gap, and 16 inch in the center. And towards the side, they kind of creeped in a little, and some were about averaging 13 inches or so. Last 2 were near like 11, 10 inches. So that's why it's all kind of squished in there. So one wall is done. Eventually I'll get the drywall, and one wall will be completely done. A couple more to go. update. As you can see, I got some drywall up. I have a little lip. I cut a little short just so I have a lip on the very top, so that when I put the drywall on top, it'll have a little place of balance on top here, so it makes it a little bit easier to hold and adjust to screw in the top ceiling. But first, obviously, I'm going to have to do the foam before I put the drywall there. About halfway done, other half still to go. This is basically day 2. That kind of scared the crap out of me. One of the big old cicadas. I'm going to take a break from the drywall. I only really have above the door and then right behind you guys another 4-foot section, and then cut a little piece. Here it's all pretty done. I'll touch up on the corner a little later. Don't want to bore you too much about that. You guys got the gist of that. I'm going to actually start on the ceilings right now, because again I can feel the heat basically beaming off from the ceiling right now. So I don't want to insulate that, so hopefully I can keep it cooler longer throughout the day. So I got the boards outside. I'll start bringing them in and start measuring, because I don't think they're all exact. Bring it here, measure each one, and start from there. So I went with the 1.5-inch foam boards for the ceiling. Here's the R rating of 7.5. I was debating whether to go 1.5 or 2. I'm going to go with the 1.5 right now. Worst case scenario, if it's not enough, I can always basically just drop down the drywall and get another set, bumping it up to basically 3 inches thick, and that'll actually give me a R value of 15. So that's always an option to do. But as far as right now, it should be okay for me. Obviously, I can put on a couple more sweaters and stuff like that if it gets too cold, or get a little space heater. So I think I should be fine with this for what I'm going to be using it in this shed. Well, each one is slightly different, from basically 22 3/4, 23 1/4, 21 and some. So each one's a little bit different, so I'll be cutting every single one to size. Good thing I got a couple spares, because there'd be a lot of extras, but I can always fill in little gaps here and there, so it'll work out. So instead of cutting them long ways and then still having to cut to the distance, I think the easiest bet would be I'm going to just cut them the short way, so the 4 feet side. Then obviously cut to the width I need, pop them in on both sides, and then do final measurements for basically a middle section. I think that might actually work out a little bit better, using up probably more of all the pieces that I have on the board versus having a bunch of oddball scraps this way. If I'm going this way, I think I can utilize the remaining pieces to fill in any little gaps I have. I think that'll be what I'm going to do. brand new in the shed. So you guys made it this far. Thanks for sticking around. Unfortunately, the footage had kind of crapped out. The phone kind of stopped recording as I pretty much went through and did a bulk of the stuff here. And I wish I had, you know, some of that footage. But to give a little quick recap of what had happened is the 2x4s for basically the rafters here. This being the prefab doesn't mention the measurements of 10 by 15. So obviously, depending on what kind of size shed you get, they're going to kind of tweak it to basically fit the size you ordered and try to keep it, you know, preferably 16 inches on center, stuff like that. But unfortunately, there's a couple spots that you saw in the video where I'm insulating with the fiberglass. You know, this wall right here started off fine, and then as I went along this corner, it just kind of got smaller and smaller, so there was a little more stuffing of it. I didn't feel like cutting little strips of it. I just kind of smushed it in there. You know, obviously it was pretty hot, so obviously I didn't have the full protection. I managed to get by with, you know, obviously wearing the short sleeve and shorts, and I was fine as long as I had the, you know, the mask and the safety glasses. I was fine. Obviously once I'm done, took a shower, I was fine. So quick little thing, obviously you did see the video part where I was measuring to do the foam, and again each one was a different size. Started off at about like 21 inches or 22, next one was like 21 and a half. Somewhere in the middle I ended up having a section of like 23 inches, and it also kind of carried a little bit different on this side. So I did manage to get the foam up, realized I have 4 more sheets left, right? Just about 3 or 4 sheets, enough for me to kind of go through and put the second layer. With the second layer, I did a bigger, basically I did about 48 inches. Actually no, the first sheet was basically 60 inches from the wall to the center, give or take an inch or 2. So it was nice and sealed there. Second layer kind of started towards the top, and with what pieces I had left over, kind of figured what was the best way of cutting them up to utilize as much as possible of each sheet and get as much done. So I ended up doing about 48 inches of a sheet and basically recut it to the measurements that I needed to fit, work from the top. Eventually I had little sections towards here that were basically still a couple little voids, and I had a couple more strips left, so I kind of took pieces and kind of just stuck what I could. Obviously there was about an inch or 2 gap around certain spots, but I got the bulk of it. The bulk of it is about 3 inches, the other half is 1.5, so I was kind of happy with the progress there. Drywall, gotta love drywall. Definitely a lot of measurements, yet still things were a little bit off. Obviously, as I was mentioning, the 2x4 studs were off pretty much in each one. So the first sheet, I started off, measured it, had to make 2 cuts, obviously to the 59.5 inches to get the whole sheet, or part of the sheet obviously going, I guess you would say vertically here, so that, you know, the beam would be halfway right over here. Then the next one, obviously being a full sheet up to 48 inches, measured it, double checked, seemed like it was fine. Once I put it up, it was a little bit off, so I had to kind of maneuver it just so I would have enough drywall on the studs so I could use the screw, and obviously there was a gap, as you can see right there. It's holding, it's fine. Then eventually moved along. Save that for later. I did rent a what do you call it, the drywall jack, because I was doing this by myself. Obviously, we're, the COVID, everything else, I was kind of busy. And this is my little project, so I rented one out, started using it. You would think it's a little bit easy, but it was a little bit of a pain to do by yourself. Unfortunately, it wasn't the best one I've had. It was really wibbly, but managed to get it done. But with the heat, it was just getting frustrated. So on the flip side, I decided to try to make it a little bit easier myself and went basically horizontal. Let me see if I can get the shot there. So as you can see, here the plan was to go vertically. As you can see, about almost 3 full 48 inches of board. On this side, I basically did a full sheet going the other direction. Obviously, I had to measure where the beam, best placement to cut these two pieces of drywall so that the point would basically hit a 2x4. So this was the spot. So one side ended up having to be about like 92 inches, the other side was 80. Managed to get that, did a couple more little walls, and then I had the brother-in-law was in town and he helped me get a couple of all the pieces in. Same thing, I measured, yet they still came, it was a little bit off. But the drywall is up. Next video that I will post up once I start, obviously, as you can see, there's no mud on the thing yet. I'll make the video of how to mud the drywall and move along. Once that's done, the next video will basically be just me getting this whole place painted. I'm basically going to choose to paint it white to keep it bright, especially if I'm filming and just working. Right now I have an LED light. I have no power. It's running through an extension cord from the house. It's just makeshift for now. We're still trying to figure out options of whether going to the solar panel option and doing that. Right now I do have a little solar panel out there with solar lights that I found on Amazon. They look like this. It's a set of 2 of them. They're pretty bright, but I'm still trying to work out the kinks on those. They were kind of flickering from time to time as if it was a motion sensor. Obviously I didn't read the instructions, my bad, like what guy does, right? So just gotta double check this, make sure I'm in the right mode and see if that mode actually does work. If not, I'll have to just change it or look at a different option. But that's a game plan, to have lights, solar lights, kind of work in the evening, obviously, whatever the weather was permitting. I did splurge a little bit and got myself a portable AC unit, which is also a heater. So I can see if I can get it right there. Currently off, just is a little bit loud to try to film and do it. But it cooled down this shed quite nicely. It is currently very muggy outside and humid, and it's 90 degrees outside, so it's actually bearable now compared to what it was when I was actually putting the drywall up and everything else. Some of it I didn't film after I found out that it didn't work. It was just too hot. I had the shirt off. I'm just trying to get this done, get this process done. So I saved you guys the trouble and kept the shirt on while I'm filming this. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video and you guys will stick around with my journey as I go into the woodworking hobby and do some cutting boards, stuff like that, little projects that co-workers wanted me to build, are interested for me to build stuff, and I'll film everything that they ask for. And if you guys have any suggestions of what you guys want to see, just let me know in the comments below. I will keep trying to get videos posted as as often as projects are being brought my way, and I will work on them. Part of it will be just an ongoing update of the workbench. It's a work in progress, as I said, as the channel grows and obviously sell the woodworking stuff I do. I can actually invest and do more stuff. I have the tools. It's just to make the tools work better for me. Like if I have a router, obviously I would like to mount it on upside down next to the table side that's on that workbench, to to, you know, have it all in one kind of table. All the tools I have in these Drywall toolboxes I'm going to try to incorporate it. Didn't think of it in the first place when I was designing it, but it looks like when I do bring it down from the garage to the shed, I should be able to make some minor adjustments to it, and it should fit. I say should, just like I measured a couple of times and it should have went up right. It was a little bit off, but obviously I completed that. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Obviously this is my very first video I've actually produced myself, so bear with me as I you know, develop the skills on that too. And hopefully you guys will join me on this journey of woodworking on this channel. Once again, I'm Darius. Thanks for joining my channel, My Sawdust, and hopefully you like and subscribe.